Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of Trashtalk on Flying Circus, First Flight Special, where I talk about the planes in the book. You know the drills already, here's 3 more wonderful planes, let's go, starting with the Straßenkämpfer for the survivor, it's a flying box. The last years of the war were a strange contrast, representing both the technological height of the surviving empires and their ongoing collapse from the economic, industrial, and demographic devastation. The Straßenkämpfer is perhaps the ultimate expression of this paradox. While most cities in Himmelgard had tight winding streets, running at steep angles on uneven terrain, Kaiserlandung had enormous avenues, parks, and squares. At enormous cost, builders blasted apart rock and displaced thousands for this ostentatious display of wealth and power, and it was not uncommon for these avenues to be used as temporary aerodromes during parades. This likely inspired the Straßenkämpfer, which was designed for the city's enormous emergency militia in 1598, the collapsible all-metal frame would allow the aircraft to be built inside the city's flimsy bomb shelters, then launched from the streets to meet the next wave, likely to be piloted by old men and untrained boys. Mercifully, no examples of Straßenkämpfer were actually completed in time for the war, but plans, tools, and kits were known to be shipped. A dedicated individual might be able to finish one, given time, though they would need to source an engine, reinforce the frame, and find or build the missing weapons with whatever they could.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave! With a box of scraps!
The Straßenkämpfer is a plane good at one thing, being tough as hell, with armor to absorb some major critical hits, and yet it still has turned bleed 1, while its stats do not look pretty, it can still dogfight decently, especially with the rotary engine. It also has high visibility too, so you can easily see troubles coming before it is too late. So what's the problem? Well, it's tough as nail, but also armed with actual nail guns, 3 pneumatic SMG, you need to get very close for these to be somewhat effective, and even then the damage you deal will be quite low. However, if you crit, that's gonna hurt a lot, and the significant amount of ammo you get lets you outlast your opponent quite easily. There's no variance of the Straßenkämpfer, but like its history said, it's made in a cave, so there's not really a standardized version of this thing. Talk with your GM about it. The Straßenkämpfer, tough as a nail, but it really needs to get close to deal some damage. However, when it does, it might be more than most can take. Next up, there's the Merit Raider for Skyborne. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of rocket. While the Skyborne are seen by ground pounders as a single unified culture, this is of course not true. They are divided by linguistic and cultural lines, as well as long-standing family rivalries, and conflict over routes, salvage, and limited resources are common. Just about every Skyborne convoy maintains a long list of perpetual rivals who frankly don't deserve the sky. Most of these fights are limited skirmishes or simply posturing. The convoys do not have the resource margins to get into conflicts. The winner gets the spoils and the loser retreats, sure to regale their children with stories of their rivals' underhanded treachery for years to come. As the war and its aftermath made things more desperate, these conflicts became increasingly common. Many of those convoys still finding success began investing in the Merit to decisively win confrontations, often in unexpected escalation. Over the years, some of the Skyborne convoys who employ the Merit have become very rich indeed. They are rarely good places to grow up, and the youths who escape often feel that taking one with them is doing the world a favor. The Merit Raider represents a serious escalation in rocket-armed plane. Previously there's the Ritter ABH, armed with 7 massive rockets guaranteed to finish off an airship on its lonesome. The Merit Raider, instead, packs enough rockets to severely damage or even finish off 2 airships on its own, which is a ridiculous amount of firepower. Worse, it even comes with an ordinary balloon machine gun that can be loaded with terrifying specialized ammo just to make sure. Even better, or worse, depending on your perspective, this plane also has a twin pneumatic LMG turret on its rear to keep things off its 6. This is just a terrifying amount of firepower on a 30 Thaler package. Honestly, the scarier thing is that despite having all these firepowers, the Merit has turned bleed 1, meaning, once it fires off its rockets, most likely doing some devastations in the way, it can actually dogfight, or just evade incoming dogfighters. It might be a tad slow, but it has enough horsepower that it can boost and climb quite well, allowing it to pick up speed and altitude easily. As for the variants, this is a Skyborne plane after all. Modify it however you want, as long as you can get it past the GM. If you want just all the rockets in a decently priced package that can defend itself quite well, the Merit Raider is definitely what you are looking for. Last for this episode, there's the DFB Blitzschwitter for Scion.
It was Sean!
The city of Dijkstad in Durand was built up around the old sluice gates keeping out the sea, and the invention of the electric tidal mill turned it into the region's industrial core. When the gas bombs fell, the local administrators deliberately flooded the city, which quenched the bombs and carried the poison out to sea. Much of the population of the city was saved, but the hasty operation did serious damage to the dikes. Even in better times, repairs would take years. However, industry quickly returned to the half-sunken city as machine tools were gradually dredged up from the ground floors and reinstalled on rooftops to create open-air workshops. Dijkstad was formed from the remains of the old Tiker plant, and it quickly put both a prototype fighter and the electrical expertise of the city to work creating the Blitzgewitter, a plane designed to bring down the aerial predators which pursued cargo planes into the city. Due to the limited production capability of DFB post-war, there's a years-long waiting list. Anyone who has won either got in on the proverbial ground floor, or bribed somebody handsomely. This thing is rather unique. The Blitzgewitter is the first flying circus airplane to use the lightning arc, a weapon that literally shoots lightning in every single direction up to close range, which can be very useful against wild animals or even aircrafts that got too close. It even has effectively infinite uses since it runs off electricity. I fully recommend you to turn it on every time something gets close so they can experience the shock. How does it not electrocute you? How about you don't ask so many goddamn questions? Not only that, this hunting plane for some reasons also packs a belt-fed heavy cannon, a forward machine gun, and a rear LMG turret right there. Don't shoot up your own plane, all in a very affordable goddamn $49 price tag. Oh, the pilot could also use a telescopic sight for the machine gun and heavy cannon to make the hits even more devastating, just to make things worse. To put it shortly, the Blitzgewitter is extremely lethal at close range and could actually take some hits in return, especially if you spend some thaler on special ammo for the heavy cannon. So what's the problem? Well, its speed is, okay, I guess, but it's going to have a bit of trouble picking up speed and altitude with its engine. It is a heavy fighter after all. Also, the heavy cannon is inaccessible, so if it jams, someone need to climb down there to unjam it. As for the variant, there's one. A heavy fighter variant that removes the heavy cannon and adds one additional MG to every MG mount. No more cannon, but more DACA. As a conclusion, the DFB Blitzgewitter is a plane that truly excels in close-range combat and hunting down annoying raptors. However, you really want things to get close, as otherwise most of your firepower, or just power really, is gonna be useless. And that's all on these three airplanes, from the box-shaped Straßenkämpfer that's tough as brick and unfortunately could shoot as well as it, the deadly Meerut Raider with more rockets than necessary, and the lightning-generating DFB Blitzgewitter that can give quite a shock to anything nearby. Anyway, that's all for now, and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell button. If you really want to support my channel, you could visit my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.